to my channel. In today's video, I'm actually making a gift tag set for Valentine's Day that I will put in my Etsy shop. So I am using this Magnolia heart stamp set from Altenew. I think this was a gift with purchase, if I'm not mistaken. I don't believe I actually purchased this myself. This is the Nesting Portrait Arches die from Waffle Flower. I'm using the 4th from the largest, and it is about 2 5/8 by 3 7/8 when it's cut out. I'm going to be using this Simon Says Stamp Hello Beautiful stamp set, and I'm just using the You're a Sweet and then the image of a heart, so You're a Sweetheart. Then I'm going to be using this Altenew Holiday, let me see here, let me find it. I wrote it down because I don't remember things. Where'd it go? Holiday Tag Sentiments from Altenew. I could have just looked at the video. Okay. Anyways, then I'm going to use a whole bunch of scrap colored cardstock from my stash. I thought these were very Valentine's Day-ish vibes. Those are all from Hobby Lobby, so those are all Portrait Studio cardstocks. Like I said, I just raided my scrap pockets. This is my We Are Memory Keepers hole punch. You can use any hole punch you have. I like this one for a couple of reasons. It has a small and a large on the same thing, and you can also set grommets and eyelets and that kind of thing with it. I'm showing you some black and white and then red and white twine. I end up not using the red and white. I felt like it kind of clashed. Those are held in sugar shakers, and those just hold my twine. That twine is actually from Hobby Lobby. I trade out the red and white for just a cream, a straight cream. I'm going to run through all of these little cardstocks through my die cut machine, all 30 pieces. I'm going to make 15 little tags. They're going to be double-sided, so there's going to be one thing on the front and another thing on the back. So I'm going to first punch a hole in the top of these. Another thing that I like about this particular hole punch is it has almost like a ruler where the punch is, so you can set the depth that you want your punch to be. I think this is set to about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more, and that seemed to be about perfect for this particular die and how I was going to situate the images on it. Or yes, this particular tag, and how I'm going to situate the images on it. I'm going to stack a whole bunch of these together. That is another thing that I like about this, is it is beefy and it can cut through several layers. I've even cut through chipboard, medium weight chipboard with it. It's very, very sturdy, and that's just another bonus behind this. So I'll stack up a bunch together and cut them out, punch a hole through them. I have a length of twine here. This is about 10 inches long, and here's that cream instead of the red and white. This is about 10 inches worth of ribbon or twine, and I've separated the dies into what's going to be the front and what's going to be the back, and I try to get like a good even number of like teals and aquas and reds and pinks, so that when I go to put these together and tie them together with this twine, I have a good selection. I chose to heat emboss these tags today. You absolutely don't have to do that. You could just stamp them in a ink that would show up on this cardstock, but I chose to stamp them. This is Hero Art's Unicorn Pigment ink, and this is some Recollections. This is called Snow, so it is white embossing powder, but you can use any embossing powder. You could use Versamark to do your heat embossing. I find when I use this Hero Arts Pigment ink, when I'm doing white heat embossing, I get a better image. Sometimes when I use Versamark, I feel like the image has a tendency to skip, and so I have to go back in with like a white gel pen and add in the areas with that gel pen where I feel like the image has skipped. And I don't feel like I have to do that quite as much when I use this Unicorn Pigment ink and white embossing powder. You could also use this Unicorn Pigment ink and clear embossing powder but I feel like this combination gives me more crisp results, I guess you could say. So I have positioned both of these tags into the corners of this mini Misty. They fit perfectly. And I positioned my stamps how I wanted them. I treated them with my anti-static powder tool, and I am going to I'm going to stamp it with that unicorn pigment ink and sprinkle this white embossing powder over the top. I saved some time by doing 2 of them at once. You don't have to do that, but this is definitely a time saver to stamp the front and the back of a tag at the same time. That is another way to kind of speed up some mass production. These tags are really not terribly involved, but I feel like the color choices, the color palette really makes them festive and makes them actually pop and stand out. I'm going to repeat this for all of the tags, and then we will heat set all at one time. I'm just showing you yet again here. I make sure that I treat my paper. I rub it all around with that anti-static powder. I rub it all around with my dry paintbrush, and then I ink up my stamps. Stamp it down. Sometimes I didn't get a very good inking, and so I was very grateful that I had this mini Misty so that I could stamp it again in the same exact spot and not mess up a tag. It is very difficult to remove this pigment ink. It stains, it smears, and so heat setting it is another reason why, and using embossing powder is another thing that I like about this, because I will smear it all over creation and ruin my project. If you notice, I spilled my embossing powder all over my desk. I am a very graceful crafter, folks. Not at all. All right. So here we're moving on to the heat setting. I am just going to use my heat tool. When this turns shiny and is no longer grainy, then that is heat set. And these are pretty small images, and so they heat set pretty quick. I did let my heat gun heat up for probably 30 seconds to a minute while I cleaned up a few things, just so it's hot. The hotter your gun is when you bring it to the paper, the less warping you'll get. This is fairly thin cardstock, and so it does warp some, but as this sits flat, those will kind of flatten out themselves. So this is all of the tags heat embossed. I'm taking just a Swiffer cloth and rubbing it over each of these tags, just trying to get some of that embossing, that anti-static powder residue removed. It comes off very easily. If you have any spots that are very tricky, just use your hand. The oils from your hand will take that embossing, that anti-static powder right off. I'm just going to put these tags back to back, and I'm going to loop my twine together, and where I have the loop, not the loose ends, but the loop, I'm going to put that through the hole of these tags. Then I'm going to open up that loop, and I'm going to stick the loose ends through it and thread it through. You'll see me do that here. Just threading the loose ends through that loop, and then I'm pulling it tight. And that gives you like a Vera Bradley almost loop. You could tie those however you wanted. I am putting these in a kit, but that is all of the tags done. And so I appreciate you spending time with me today. I hope you felt inspired, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.